All right, everyone. I think we're back. This has never before happened to me. And just so you know what happened, it's a beautiful day where I am, absolutely gorgeous. And out of nowhere, in the middle of our conversation, the power just went out, which meant that my internet went out and the Zoom connection failed. So I don't know. This is really awkward. I don't know what you heard. I don't know what you saw. You might have seen a really cute puppy. If you didn't see a cute puppy, Angela promises to take a picture of her puppy and we'll put it in the comments when we share this in the Facebook group. Really, I just genuinely apologize. This is the wonders of live things. And thank you guys for staying with us and coming back. And we'll see if we can't edit these two videos together. But anyhow, I think sometimes all you can do is laugh, right, Angela? I think this is actually maybe a good thing to say. Like, we were talking about your why and commitment and if you fall off the program. And this is a really natural, good example. So like, yes, I feel awkward and uncomfortable and a little irked that my internet went in the middle of this. But we could have just been like, oh, all right, this is too hard. Okay, Angela, we're just done. We're not going to come back. Like, this is uncomfortable and weird. We'll just like pretend this video never happened and we'll do it another time. Right? But right. We reconnected and here we are now. So you can do this on a program. It doesn't matter if you accidentally went out and, ate that chocolate cake and then didn't do your workout and you skipped 2 weeks and whatever else. Yep. Just like my internet connection, you can reconnect and come back. There's the glass half full, right?
Right.
One of the questions I know that we didn't get that I really wanted to address too was like, this one was, so because you're a mom, like I'm a mom too, and like we have a lot of moms in the group especially, and a lot of people have been struggling with stress lately. That's why we actually did a whole video last week on stress, and then I did a follow-up video for MMC on stress. We were asked, like, what are some of your ways of handling things, like what just happened, for example, or even maybe you were stressed out about meeting with me. But with your family, your kids and everything, like you got a lot going on. We all do.
So I think that, there's things we can't plan for, right? Because we didn't plan that to happen. There's a lot of things that are out of our control and we can't plan for, but there is so much that we can plan for. I think a lot of times it's easier to make excuses, or it's just easier to say it's too hard, so I don't want to plan that. But in regards to weight loss, I think one of the most important things that we need to do is plan our meals. And for people who are out of the home a lot, that's going to take more intention and more planning, because if you're going to take a lunch with you to work, you do need to plan that ahead of time. Or if you have to eat out a lot, maybe your job requires you to eat out with coworkers or clients or whatever, then knowing what restaurant you're going to be eating at and like looking at the menu ahead of time and planning what you're going to eat. It requires planning, but I think it is so helpful, because the number one way we should be trying to lose weight is through the food choices that we make. So I think that it's well worth your time. I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of women, and I know a lot of women do not want to plan their meals, but then if you're not getting results, don't whine about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm sounding like Dr. Jade now, but really it should be, I feel like it's the number one thing that we should be planning. If you can't plan anything else out, at least plan what your meals are going to be. So at least that's a steady in your life.
I think that's great. And I know that's a struggle for a lot of people. So like they now life is going, a little bit more back to normal, and suddenly they had control more and they're like, oh, well, now I can't. And you can plan. And for me, like even just, I don't always plan the time I'm going to do a workout. Because like work things will happen, or, I have a 4-year-old, or, like anything can happen, but I try to stick to like, I have a day and I have like a time in my day when I do it. So whether, you know, it doesn't matter if I'm off by 30 minutes or whatever, but I know that in this chunk of time somewhere in there, that workout will happen. And then it's up to you to follow through with that, right? Because then I think we get more stressed about, like, sometimes, like, especially not doing things, like so not planning your meals, and then you're stressed because you didn't do it and you're like, oh my gosh, I should have done it. Now I'm here and I don't know what to do because I didn't do, you know, like, or not planning out the time to do my workouts. They're skipping it can be more stressful than just like doing it.
Right. And things will happen that you can't control, but as much as possible, like if it's not a crisis if you failed to plan your meals all week long. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can understand if you're like, one day something happens and it was completely out of your control and you couldn't, you know, plan your meals at all. But if that becomes a habit and you're just never, ever planning your meals, then it's not, I don't know.
So, and we do have lots of tools. If that's a meal planning is hard for you, I mean, we have the MMP metabolic meal planners. Bella's always creating new recipes. We have some new fun things coming down the road. Just stay tuned.
Okay.
To meals too. So there is a lot of support opportunities there, I would say. And I know Bella's recipes, I'm always like, oh, there's too many for me to pick from. Not, you know, that's a good problem to have. And I know your food is always beautiful. If you haven't seen her in the group, she often shares her recipes and what she's been making, and it's delicious.
Yeah, I usually share them since I'm doing Metabolic Mastery Club, I usually share them over there now. But yeah, and again, you don't have to, like, there's no one way to do it. I have a weird thing where I never repeat a recipe. I just don't, you guys. I always do a different recipe, and I like that because I get bored if I make the same thing all the time. And I feel like I'm this creative, artistic person in the kitchen when I'm always doing different recipes. And so it feeds my soul at the same time that it feeds my body. And I feel like it's an act of self-care and nurturing. I love the whole thing. Some people hate that, right? Some people hate following a recipe. Some people hate having to fix the food themselves. But there's so many options. There's like, you don't have to do it the way I do it. There's so many different ways you can go about still planning and still making sure that you get the healthy food that you need. So
that's great. And I think maybe we should ask Bella to follow up and talk a little bit more in a future video, because she's really big on, so am I, on like mindful eating too. And like, so you don't have to love to cook. You don't have to love to eat, but like we do all have to eat.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, except for like someone who maybe has a specific health issue or something. I should explain that one. But like, there are ways we can be more mindful in our approach to it, whether it be you repeating the same meal every day because you don't like cooking, and that gives you comfort to know that like your lunch is going to be exactly the same every day, but you could still appreciate it and enjoy it and be more mindful in it and have a little of that soul. I love that you talked about your soul there in it. Add a little of that emotional component. So I'll have to ask her to do that, because Bella, I know, is really passionate about that. I think all of us are.
Yes.
So I do want to make sure. So we had a really beautiful question that I didn't get to ask. It was kind of related to what we were talking about before with your why and everything else. And since we kind of were in the middle of that when we went kaput, I'm just going to revisit it. And the question, I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on the woman's name who posted this, but she wanted to just really know, like, what would be the advice and encouragement you have for the ladies who have a lot longer to go on their journey? So for them, maybe it's a lot harder to wrap their head around. They have a lot more weight to lose or physical issues or whatever else. What could you tell them right now to help them go forward?
Well, I think you said it right there where you said on their journey, right? Because we're all on a journey. It's not about just reaching whatever goal we've determined that we want to reach. I think one advantage that women who have more weight to lose, or even more, internal growth, however that looks for them, one advantage of that over someone who, like, I wanted to lose 10 pounds when I started. is that it's gonna take you longer. So you're gonna be in the process longer. It's gonna be more than 12 weeks to lose all the weight that you have to lose. So the advantage of that is that you have a longer amount of time to be working through all these steps, to be tracking your progress, to be understanding your body, to pay attention to the foods you eat, to realize that, oh, when I eat this, I wake up at night and I don't like that. Or when I don't get enough sleep, I'm this way, you know, or whatever. Like, you have a longer time to pay attention to the journey that you're on. And then once you do reach your goal weight, hopefully, since it would have been a longer amount of time, those things have become just second nature, and they're so ingrained in you that it's not, well, I've reached my goal and now I'm going to go back to how things were. It's, wow, this is like part of my life now. This is part of my journey that's going to continue even though I hit my goal weight. I think it's much easier for someone who only has 10 pounds and maybe they bought this only to reach a, you know, they're going to go on vacation and they want to lose that 10 pounds to wear their bikini or whatever it is. You know, if they reach that in 12 weeks and they haven't, all this stuff hasn't really become as ingrained in them, it's more likely that they're going to more easily go back to how things were before. So I hope that that's an encouragement. I hope it's not like, you know, it doesn't seem overwhelming to you that you feel like, oh, I have this long road ahead of me. Like, think of it as, I have this opportunity. I have this journey I'm going on. I'm going to learn all these things. And there's just so much for you in the process if you're like fully in it and if you're ready for that. So I get excited just talking about it. I'm so excited.
Oh, I just love it. No, it's like everyone, like, you have your own, this is a terrible metaphor, but like metabolic yellow brick road.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys get to go on, so there's more adventures and things to learn. Like, so Dorothy learns like all about herself on that road, and you just have more time to explore all the little things that pop up on the way. So it's actually like a really cool thing and an advantage.
Right.
And I think that's like, I love that. Most people would never go, guess what? I have an advantage right now because I get to do this for longer. But it really is.
Right. Right. And keep charting your journey as well, you guys. Keep charting, keep taking pictures, because you want to look back at it one day and be able to see how far you've come. So make sure that you do that as well.
I love seeing all the photos. You know, they make me really happy. But like, even I can say, like, I remember, so I didn't actually have to lose weight. I actually had to gain some weight when I first started, like with my muscles were like, I didn't have flabby arms. I had like spindle arms with like, I couldn't hold any, I was so weak. And so, I mean, I did have to lose weight in my stomach, but like there was nothing. And I love looking back at the photos that I took back in like 2018 or whatever, and going, wow, I had no muscles. My arms were just these little sticks sticking out of my weird apple pear, you know, apple body. I guess I was an apple because I had little sticks, but I had a tummy. And now I can look back and go, wow, look how toned that is now. Look how strong I am. It's things like that too. It's not just the like, okay, my stomach looks better. That's nice too. But like,
right,
those other things you get to see, and it's invigorating to go back later.
Right.
Notice those little things.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cool.
And it's so easy to forget, right? Because like,
exactly. I know. And the thing I love about taking pictures too is that I have often taken pictures of myself, and then I look at the picture and I'm like, what? Like, I look like that?
You look good.
Good way. But I don't realize that. I mean, how often do you see your backside? You don't, I mean, you can't really see it. So I don't know. It is exciting because it takes you by surprise when you don't actually capture it and see. You're like, oh, I didn't even know.
I love it. I would totally agree. And I actually have been bad about taking my backside. So that's a reminder, everyone, to take the photos from all angles, because you don't know how you're going to change and where you're going to change. And I know it's really tempting. A lot of people like get rid of the clothes that didn't fit them before, but maybe keep an outfit, because some of you have shared photos and things with you with those old clothes, and you're like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this used to fit me comfortably or whatever. And then it's really empowering.
Right.
Yeah. So we're kind of over time because of our little like technical difficulty, but I want to end on something else fun just because I'm really curious about this. So if you had to like, because I don't know if I have one, maybe this is a hard question. What would be your favorite workout of all of them? Like just individual, like today's the day you're going to go out and you're like, I just want to visit my favorite comfort. And maybe not comfort, it might be horrible, but not horrible. You know what I mean? Like hard.
Uh-huh.
What would that one be?
Oh man. Yeah, I really, well, it's been a while since I did renewal, so I don't remember like specifically all of the individual workouts, but I really love that. Is it phase 4 in Prime? That I think it's the second workout in phase
Yeah.
4 of Prime. And I just love it because it's legs, it's arms, and then I think you have to do a get up or something like that. So it's like a whole body. So it kind of incorporates everything. And I like the movements are very fluid. There's nothing really jarring in that. And so I love that.
I love that you chose that one. I actually have a love-hate relationship with that specific workout. But what the workout, for those of you who haven't done Prime, it's the last phase of the program. And it actually really combines all of the things that Jade teaches in all of our programs. So you're still using the simple movements, like there's nothing crazy in it. It's just compound movements like we do in, metabolic renewal as you grow and things like that through the programs. It's all that stuff just together in a workout. So it's nothing really new or exciting. It just forces you to like use your body in maybe a new to you way. Because it's all stuff it just combines them all.
Right. And you feel so strong. You're like, yes.
Yeah. I would say that is my favorite thing about Prime is how strong it makes you feel when you're done.
Yeah.
And do the workouts. You're like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Laura, can I say one more thing?
I would love it.
Okay. So since we're talking to mostly women for metabolic renewal, one of the things that I learned going through that program was, I think our culture kind of expects women to do it all, be it all the time, all that sort of thing. And one of the things that I fully embraced through that program is learning to actually plan around my cycle. And it has been so helpful. And I do not apologize for it. And I live in a household of all guys. And I'm just very like, that's not going to work. I look at my cycle calendar. Yeah, that's not going to work, right now. And it is just so helpful and freeing to be able to realize that we do have these hormones that take us through these cycles. And if you learn to live with that and plan according, as much as you can, of course, things come up that are unexpected, but as much as you can plan along with that, it just makes it so much easier, lowers your stress level, and it helps you take care of yourself better. And then if you're taking care of yourself better, you're taking care of those around you better. And I love that. It's been really helpful to me. So I know, like for myself, when I am like from the time I ovulate until the start of my period, those are my 2 bad weeks. So I like don't try to have any group activities during that time. Because I know that's going to be hard for me. I try not to plan a lot of things that have details. I try to use a lot of self-care, even with my workouts. I change my workouts a little bit. I do more yoga, Pilates, more stretching, all that sort of thing. I make sure I get extra sleep. I'm just a lot more gentle and careful with myself. And then the other 2 weeks where it's like after my period until I ovulate, I'm good to go with group activities during that time. So if I'm going to plan something social, that's the time to do it. Any planning that involves a lot of details, that's a good time for me to do that. And so it's just, I don't know if that helps anyone, but I found it to be really helpful to have the freedom to just live that way. And it makes it a lot easier.
I just love that you said that, because I wanted to ask you, but I was like, is she going to think it's weird if I ask her about how does she interact with her period? We probably should do something like this sometime with a couple women and all talk about how The program has helped us understand our cycle, and also because like I feel like even like I was afraid to ask you because I didn't want you to feel uncomfortable if I brought it up on this live thing, right?
I'm open.
We all have it. So like I do like you, and I would say like that, yeah, the lessons from J2 and how you like approach the second half of your cycle, it changed the way I used to work out every day, like these long, crazy hours and hours workouts, and I would run marathons and everything. And that was not the right thing for me to be doing. And then I would get very frustrated and have worse PMS symptoms and things, and now I kind of have learned to read that, taking the time to go inward, like you say, and just knowing and like not being embarrassed, even though I was embarrassed to ask you about it, but like, we're all women, we all have it, right? I mean, we don't all have it. Some of us don't have it anymore, but we all have stuff. Even if you've had a hysterectomy, you still have hormones and you still have other things that are affecting you because you had, like you once had periods, maybe you've never had a cycle because of whatever thing is going on, but you're still a woman and you're still having stuff going on that you need to acknowledge and figure out how to work. It's all working for you, right? Not against you.
And I found it so helpful to even be free to talk about it because I mean, sometimes guys are weird. They don't want to hear about that. But, and I have 3 teenage boys, but you know what? They're compassionate. Like if instead of just being impatient and irritable and not talking about what I'm saying or what I'm feeling, if I say, you know what, I'm like PMS right now, and I'm just having a hard time processing whatever is going on, they're compassionate and they're loving towards that. And I'm that way with other people too. Like if you can sense when something's off with someone, right? You can pick up on that and you can sense it. And a lot of times that makes us uncomfortable. But if the person is upfront and they said, I'm struggling right now because this is on my mind, this is on my heart, and they tell you about that, then you feel like you're part of it with them. And you feel like, well, I can be compassionate towards that because I can understand, what you're going through. And it just makes it so much easier in relationships that way. So I'm pretty open about it.
I'm laughing. I'm just like, oh man, where were you? I should have had you like follow me around for like the past month. I'm just kidding, but no, I needed you. And I think I think that we can wrap up with a good way of looking at this and just knowing that communication is important. Nothing is like, it's okay to be embarrassed, but like, let's talk about things. And if you don't feel comfortable talking about this stuff with your family yet, or your husband or your kids or your friends, whatever it is, whether it be your cycle, literally, whether it just be the reaction, like the way you're feeling doing our program, use the Facebook groups, use the resources. We're here for you, and we can help you at least start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. But you're not, we're all here together. And I love that you ended with that. I cannot, I'm genuinely thanking you for myself right now, because even though I do this, I am guilty of, all those things. So if you are too, it's okay if you're watching and you're like, I'm not perfect, So, well, what we can do to follow up is I will share these videos. And if you guys are seeing these now later in the Facebook group and you have any questions for Angela that we didn't get to, or that you want to follow up with, if it's a short one, maybe she'll just comment back in the group and I'll make sure she sees it. And if it's something bigger, maybe we'll ask her and she can either film it back for us, or we can do another one where the technology works, or maybe with a couple people, maybe we do have a period powwow.
Period powwow.
I don't know about that name. I'm not a copywriter, guys. But I can't thank you enough. Every day, Angela, you inspire me. I really like you sharing your workouts, you posting in the groups. You are always there encouraging. Oh, there's your puppy. And you light up the room. And I just, on behalf of not just me, but like all of Metabolic Living, just thank you for being you.
Oh, thank you, Laura. I always love talking to you and love being part of this community.